And now an important message from Watch Me Go Broke. Why, hello there, friends. Today's review is a cautionary tale, a true example of Russian collusion to influence our 2020 watch buying choices. It's a story of how what you read might not always be true, and what you think you're gonna get may not be what you get. Now, folks always ask me, they say, now, Klitsch, how can I protect myself from these invaders? And I tell them the same thing every time. Leave me alone, I am using the turlet. But after I am finished, I tell them to gather as much data as possible from as many different sources as possible. And once they have compiled all of that data, then and only then can they make themselves an informed decision. Now let's awkwardly bend over a table and take a look at one of these invaders. Okay, so let's get started. On my wrist today, excuse me, on my wrist today, I'm still rocking the Alpha Paul Newman Daytona homage. Oh boy, this is quickly becoming one of my favorite watches. It is just gorgeous. Pick one up if you have not. It is amazing. I love it. Just a great, great watch. Okay, everyone, so this is the Vostok Amphibia reference number 120813. I do not speak Russian, so I have no idea what that writing is on the dial. But I do see that it is 200 meters of water resistance, so let's go over some specs. You've got a 40 millimeter case, a thickness of 15 millimeters, a lug width of 17.5 millimeters, and a lug-to-lug of 49 millimeters. So this is the Amazon listing. It lists a bunch of different incorrect information, including the glass being mineral crystal. It is not, it is acrylic. And then the biggest irritation, it says the watch is 42 millimeters. This watch is not 42 millimeters, it's 40 millimeters. It also says this watch has 22 millimeter lugs, and that is also not the case. This watch sports a domed acrylic crystal, a stainless steel bidirectional bezel, just a friction bezel today, no clicking. You can make your own clicking sounds if you want. I don't know, if you're into that, great. If you're not, I don't really care that much. So it's going to be an all stainless steel case. I don't know if it's 316L. I cannot find a lot of information on this particular watch. It is a screw down case back with Vostok's technology of not breaking the water seal. You can take this off to get to the movement, but you don't break the watertight seal. I have no idea how in the world that's even possible, but apparently they have done it. Again, some more Russian writing on the back, but you do see 200M, so that's pretty good. So this is going to be a 200M diver. The dial is actually quite attractive. I don't believe I have any white dial watches, so I wanted to pick up a white dial watch, and especially this one wasn't overly pricey, so I wanted to do that. You have Arabic numerals from 1 through 12, the Vostok Amphibia logo, I guess the Vostok with a B logo just below the 12. I'm assuming that writing there is Russian for amphibian. And then just above the 6 o'clock, I don't have any idea what those words are. And of course, just below the 6 o'clock, there's some other writing that I don't understand. The hands are going to be black, just your pretty much run-of-the-mill hands. They're a little bit of a different color than you would find on some of the other Vostok Amphibias, but this one has a beautiful blue second hand. I was corrected in the comments a few videos back that it is not called a seconds hand, as I have been calling it. Every single video since I started, it is a second hand, but I can't promise I'm not going to do that again. It's going to be a screw down crown, and the crown doesn't seem to be stainless steel. To me, it feels like it's aluminum. I could be wrong on that. It is very, very, very flimsy. And I'm not talking about the emotion of it. I'm talking about the construction of the actual crown. It's very, very flimsy. And of course, as tradition with Vostok Amphibias, once you pull it out into this time-setting position, well, I can't do it. Well, anyway, it's wobbly. You'll have to take my my word for it there. So winding it, I mean, you can see, very, very wobbly. Winding it, oop, that's not winding. That's setting the time. But anyway, setting the time, you have to actually physically pull this crown back far enough to get enough tension to set the time. So that's something that is unique to the Vostok Amphibias. And of course, putting it back in the winding position, you really don't snap it back in. You have to start screwing it in order to get to the winding again. And then you have to unscrew it again. Okay, unscrewed. So now you're in the winding position. And you kind of have to put some tension. It wants to wind itself back onto the threads. It's a very weird construction, but the reason that's done is so if this crown were to take an impact, the crown is actually independent from the crown stem. So if you whack the crown, you're not going to risk breaking the stem off inside of the watch. So that's a good feature that Vostok has. But it is a little bit of a challenge to set the time and to wind the watch. Now, screwing the crown back in, it feels very gritty. It feels very flimsy. This does not give me any sort of confidence at all that this watch can withstand 200 meters of water resistance, even swimming. I wouldn't feel comfortable. And if you notice, it doesn't really look like it screws down all the way to the case. I'm not sure if that's just one that I got that was not good. I don't know, or that's something that's common with this particular one. I was reading some comments online that people had taken this swimming and they did get some fogging underneath the acrylic crystal. Not great, never good in that regard. But I had not seen this version of a Vostok Amphibia. I have another Vostok Amphibia that I'll do a review on in the future. I didn't really particularly take a shine to that one. So I wanted one that actually looked good. And this one is actually pretty tame compared to some of the other Vostok Amphibias, especially with the bezel, the stainless steel bezel. I think it looks pretty good, and it's not as gaudy as a lot of the Vostok Amphibias. That's why I think people mod a lot of these. They change the bezel out to make it look acceptable. And some of the dials are pretty challenging to lay your eyes on, I would say. But this dial is very, very attractive. This watch does sport some lume with dots at all the Arabic numerals. The hour and minute hands and the second hand are lumed. Supposedly with these Vostok Amphibias, the deeper you go diving with it, the more water resistant it gets. And supposedly how that happens is this domed acrylic crystal is designed to flex. It's designed to flex downward with the pressure and then outward, sort of like pancaking it. Like if you put your hand flat on the table and just push down, it would spread the glass out, making it more watertight. That is supposedly what happens. So maybe just swimming, maybe this watch isn't that great, but you can take it way down in the ocean and maybe it's good. I don't know. Now I have it on this leather strap that I got from Amazon. I think it looks really cool on that. And I'm just gonna probably be using it as like a dressy or ish watch. But I think this strap works really well with it. It actually comes on this rubber strap, which is actually really, really good. It's really, really comfortable. It's really pliable. The only drawback is there's not a lot of holes for sizing. And when I wear it, I think it goes all the way down to the third from the last one on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. So if you got, you know, a 6 3/4, 6 1/2 inch wrist, this may still be too big of a band for you. I just took it off, really no reason. I just wanted to try the leather strap. The buckle is pretty good. I mean, as far as Vostok Amphibia goes, most of those, like bracelets and rubber straps are terrible. This is definitely an upgrade. I'll throw it on at the end so you can see it. So what do I like about this watch? Well, I like the white dial. I think it's very attractive. I like the blue second hand and how it plays off the markers from the 12 o'clock to the 15 marker, all in blue there for the diving timing. And I think that looks really neat. The Vostok logo looks really great in blue and plays off that hand as well. And down at the bottom, you have a little more blue. I'm really getting into domed acrylic crystals. I think I, bashed up on the Laurier a little bit, the Laurier Hydra, for having an acrylic crystal. I was like, yeah, if we're paying that much, we should get a sapphire crystal. And I still think that at that price point, we probably should have, because, this is obviously much, much cheaper. But I just think it looks cool, and especially how it distorts the dial. It's just really cool, and it's not your run-of-the-mill Vostok Amphibia. It seems to be a bit unique. I like that it's 200 meters of water resistance, allegedly. I can't confirm that, nor do I think I will ever take this one in the water or anything like that. But, I like that at least it claims to do it. I like the thickness. It's 15 millimeters thick. It's not too thick, but it's not too thin. I think it sits really nice on the wrist, and I really, really like it. I really like the crown, the setting of it. I just think it's so unique about having to like pull tension to set the time. The winding feels like that old school, just very old mechanical winding. And supposedly the movements in these are extremely reliable. And I don't know what movement is in this. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same movement that they put in pretty much all of their Vostok Amphibias, like the Scuba Dude and the Commandersky. Those, I believe they all have the same movement, if I'm not mistaken, and it's supposedly really reliable. I want to say it's like 18 or 19,000 vibrations per hour. Don't hold me to that. I'm just speaking off the top of my head. So you're not going to get as much wear and tear on the movement as you would with a movement with a higher beat count. So what do I not like about this watch? Well, I don't like that we were pretty much flat out lied to on the Amazon website about the specs on this watch, claiming it had 22 millimeter lugs, that it was a 42 millimeter case. I mean, I was expecting to be able to interchange this thing with numerous straps that I already had for SKXs and things like that. So I was kind of disappointed that they would go that route. And I'm sure it's just something that was lost in translation. A lot of the amphibias are the same, like Scuba Dudes, they're the same specs, and they have like hundreds of different models of them. So I'm sure it was just an error, but it is a little frustrating to think you're getting one size watch and it comes in and you get a different one. So I don't like that. I don't like the crown. It's aluminum. It doesn't feel substantial. It feels like you could even squeeze it with your fingertips. Like, that's how light. Squeeze it and bend it with your fingertips. That's how light it feels. And screwing down, I don't know if there's a rubber gasket at all. It doesn't feel like there is. It doesn't feel like that's going to be watertight in the slightest. So that is very disappointing for me. But again, there's a lot to be said for an original design, and they certainly do have an original design. It's not copying anything. A Vostok Amphibia is a Vostok Amphibia, and you will not mistake it for any other watch. So there it is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. I think it wears nicely. The 49 millimeter lug to lug, it just is right at the edge of what I should probably be wearing. And for a watch that is 40 millimeters, to have 49 lugs, it's a substantial feeling watch. Even though it's got 17.5 millimeter lugs, you can slap an 18 millimeter band in there. That's what I did. It wasn't that tight of a fit. And on the original supplied rubber strap, as you can see, I'm on the second to last hole. I guess I fibbed a little bit. So this is 7 1/4 on the second to last hole. So yeah, guys, if you've got a 7 inch wrist, 6.5, this strap is probably going to be too big for you, but there are a number of options in the 18 millimeter variety of rubber straps, and of leather and NATOs that you could throw on this thing. And I think this watch would actually be very versatile with those options.
Well, there you go, my friends, the Vostok Amphibia. A watch not without its charm, but also not without its faults. I like to think of Vostok Amphibias like corn nuggets. I love corn nuggets and I can't get enough, but sometimes I might have too many corn nuggets on my plate. And then I might have to share, and then you end up giving your corn nuggets to someone else. And that just ain't right. Well, I don't really know where I was going with that analogy, but I think you understand where I'm coming from. Try to make yourself an informed decision, and don't just be clicking buttons right and left. That don't help nobody. I'll see you next time.